Something that doesn't quite feel right about this setup. I know. That's better. It just needed more Margot. How's it going, everybody, and welcome to my review of Birds of Prey and the extraordinarily long subtitle that I'm not going to pronounce right now. So this is kind of a sequel to Suicide Squad, also a spin-off movie. It's the next installment in the DCEU. So this film sees Margot Robbie reprising her role as Harley Quinn, and in this story, Harley has broken up with the Joker and she's trying to find herself in the world again, because obviously, as we saw in Suicide Squad, she was pretty much just the Joker's girlfriend, and she didn't really have a lot of depth to her character. And in amongst the chaos of her trying to discover herself again, her path comes across a sort of a mobster, one of these, hardcore criminal gangster types named Roman Sionis, aka Black Mask, played by Ewan McGregor. And we're also introduced to a whole bunch of other DC characters. We have Helena Bertinelli, aka the Huntress, played by Mary Elizabeth Winstead. We've got Renee Montoya, who's a detective with the GCPD, played by Rosie Perez. And we're also introduced to the character of Black Canary, played by Journey Smollett Bell. Yeah, that's a name for you. So in this story, there's a character named Cassandra Cain, who is a young girl, a pickpocket thief, and she's come across this diamond that has some links to the Bertinelli family, and Black Mask wants this diamond, and so there's a whole bunch of stories going on in this thing. And when the trailers came out for this movie, look, as you can probably tell, I really loved Margot Robbie's portrayal of Harley Quinn in Suicide Squad. I know that film had its flaws, but I liked it, and particularly her, because I just thought, even though she didn't look like the Harley Quinn that we were used to, her performance, her portrayal of that character was bang on. And it was one of those things that with the DCEU, a lot of times you've got to remember that these characters are their own versions of them, because in this film, Black Canary does not look like Black Canary. Huntress doesn't really look like Huntress. Harley Quinn's outfit in this, outfits are just over-the-top bananas. And for the most part, yeah, I was able to just sort of distance myself from the characters that I knew and loved, with one exception, which I'll get to soon. But the trailers for this film were a bit confusing. Like, I was kind of looking forward to the film, but the trailers, the tone looked like it was all over the place. I sort of had mixed feelings about the trailers for this, but then the early reports came out from the London premiere, and people were really hyping this movie up. People were comparing it to Deadpool, to the films of Tarantino. They were saying it was ultra violent, hilariously funny, and holy fuck, all these people were so right. I loved this film. This is one of those movies that I walked out of the theater with that glow, that euphoric glow that you have when you have just seen a movie that was really entertaining. And yeah, from the opening sequence, this really awesome animated sequence, to the very end after the credits, make sure you stick around because there's a really funny gag after the credits. From start to finish, I was smiling throughout this film. And I said to my friend of mine, hello Will, who came along with me, I was telling him that, if a film is really entertaining, sometimes it's easier to overlook the flaws. Now, this movie did have some flaws, but by God, I could have turned around and walked right back in and seen another screening of it had I been given a chance to, because it was just that much fun. As much as I loved Harley Quinn's character and Margot's portrayal of her in Suicide Squad, this film, she wiped the floor with herself. I don't know, that works somehow. Because this time around we go a lot deeper into Harley's character. This film is very much centered around Harley Quinn, which is why her name is in the title. But rather than just being the Joker's girlfriend, now that she doesn't have that connection to him, you get to explore her character a lot. You go really deep into who she is. And she's still very much an anti-hero. I mean, she does some pretty deplorable things in this film. In terms of double-crossing people and things like that, but she's just so still adorably cute and stuff that you kind of still rooting for her. Out of the other characters in this film, I loved Helena Bertinelli, aka the Huntress. I loved Mary Elizabeth Winstead's performance. She kind of, had a tragic background, but this film, it was hilariously funny, and a lot of times there were some dark moments in the film that you still found yourself laughing at, and the tone, like the balance of everything, was absolutely perfect. I think Kathy Yan did an absolutely fantastic job directing this film, like getting everything just right. Like, I mean, it is really, really violent. There were some parts of this film, the audience I was sitting in, they were squirming in their seats. Like, it's just don't take the kids to see this film. But getting back to the Huntress, there were so many things I liked about her, like including, there's all these little things about her backstory and like how she developed the name Huntress when everyone's calling her the crossbow killer. And there's a really funny scene that sort of mimicked Taxi Driver in a way, which I absolutely loved. As far as the character of Black Canary, I thought maybe she was a little bit underdeveloped in terms of like her backstory and stuff. Like we got hints of who she was, where she came from and everything, but there's obviously going to be another Birds of Prey film, and I think they're going to go into her a little bit deeper. That really sounded better in my head. You know what I mean? Anyway, she was great still. And I love the way that they used Renee Montoya in this film, particularly in as much as how they were pointing out a lot of like bad 80s movie cop cliches and stuff. This movie, it did kind of parody itself in a little bit. It did reference a lot of, cliches and things. Like a scene, no spoilers of course, when Harley is being confronted by Black Mask, and just the dialogue there I thought was absolutely great. Again, just sort of referencing the usual things that you expect that will happen in films, but this movie turned it around somewhat. And I really enjoyed Ewan McGregor's portrayal of Roman Sionis. Like, in this, he was this really sort of a flamboyant character, like with these outlandish suits and stuff, but at the same time, he was dark. Like, he had some really menacing moments in this film and was quite intimidating. I actually thought he worked quite well as a villain. And in terms of the action scenes, the fight scenes, the stunt choreography and everything, this movie is up there pretty much on a John Wick kind of level. Every fight scene in this movie was exhilarating. And there was a lot of stunt work done by Margot Robbie herself in terms of the Harley Quinn stuff, which I really respected her doing that. They were just a real joy to watch, I mean, sure, we're at a point now where we've seen it before. We've seen amazing stunts and flips and all sorts of cool tricks, but I don't know. This movie just, it delivered. And it was just great just seeing everyone kicking ass. Like, there's so many people out there who are like, oh, I don't want to see this movie because it's got feminism in it and we're afraid of women. But holy shit, like, who cares? If a character is good, it doesn't matter what gender they are. And this movie had a lot of really great characters in it. And I don't know about you guys, but look, I'm going to come right out and admit it. I'm kind of a sucker for hot-looking women kicking ass on screen. Call me shallow, call me superficial, call me what you want, but this movie had that in spades. As far as the art direction, set design, all that sort of stuff, it looked amazing. The scene that you see in the trailer of Harley going through a cop station with a beanbag gun, that looked sensational. It was so vibrant and colorful. And the thing with the trailers is that, there's a lot of times you see all these like weird colors and things going on, but it's all justified in the film. And that's actually another thing with the trailers for this movie. They didn't do a really good job because a lot of the voiceover delivery from Harley Quinn, like the narration in it and stuff, I didn't think it was that great in the trailers. Like that whole, you know what a Harley Quinn is? A Harley Quinn is someone who has a master. why I'm sounding like Elmer Fudd right now. But you know that bit. Yeah, that always, I don't know, sort of grated on me a little bit, but it's totally different in the film. Like, I don't know if it was because of the reshoots or something, but yeah, and even there's a lot of scenes that didn't end up in the film, like the bit where she tells Cassandra Cain that you can call her, what is it, bitch, or broad, what, I don't know, whatever. But yeah, that wasn't in the film. The trailers, yeah, if you've been put off by the trailers, just make sure you see a lot of reviews for this film and everything in order to make your mind up, because yeah, I don't think they did this movie any justice at all. So the only things that kind of let it down for me just a teeny bit, I did think, because the story uses kind of a disjointed time frame structure where there's a lot of flashbacks and stuff, which I actually didn't mind because this movie did a lot of showing and not telling as far as exposition and backstory. So I thought that was commendable, but at the same time, it did feel a little jumbled. Like it wasn't hard to keep up with what was going on. Like you still knew where you were at any given time, but it just sort of disrupted the continuity or the flow of the story a little bit for me. And there were just a couple of little bits here and there that I did think were kind of style over substance, like the Marilyn Monroe fantasy scene that you see in the trailer. Yeah, that could have gone realistically. It didn't, for me, I didn't think it served any purpose to the story. And I know there's going to be a few diehard DC fans out there who aren't going to like what they've done with the characters. Like, Mr. Zsasz, who in this film is Black Mask's kind of main hit guy. Like, I loved that character in the comic books because he was a really dark, menacing character, whereas in this film, he seems more of a kind of a nice guy. At least, like, I got to a point where I didn't think they were going to explain why he had tally marks cut into his body, but yeah, fortunately they did. But yeah, his character, they did change that somewhat, and yeah, a lot of the other characters I thought, you know, but this is, like I said, it's the DCEU versions of them, so yeah, I was a bit more forgiving, but I know there's going to be some people out there who aren't going to be too happy with what they did here and there. Alright, so I've gushed enough about this movie by now. Yeah, this is easily going to be a day one purchase. I am going to go and see this movie in the theaters several more times before it goes because I had so much fun watching it and I just want that ride again and again and again. So yeah, look, aside from a couple of minor flaws, I really loved this film and I'm going to give Birds of Prey a 9 out of 10. Alrighty, so thank you very much for taking the time to watch my review of Birds of Prey, and if you didn't like my review, I hope at least you liked the company. And if you have seen Birds of Prey, I would love to know what you guys thought of it, because, yeah, obviously I haven't seen a single review for this film yet, because, yeah, I saw an early screening, so I don't know what anyone else thought of it, really, but yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did, so drop me some comments, let me know what you thought of it, either here, Facebook, or Twitter. All the social media links are in the description below, because I like to talk about movies, and I would love to talk about movies with you. Catch you next time.
Click subscribe to stay up to date with all the latest movie reviews. Skynet will be taking over any day now, so what have you got to lose? Nyah.